She grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone else, and no one liked to see anyone try something different. She was quiet and careful, but always dreamed of more. She worked small jobs doing things like cleaning houses, serving at cafes, and helping neighbors. She saved every penny she could for something big, something that could change her life, but people around her laughed. They said she would never succeed in wasting money on dreams was foolish. They mocked her whenever she spoke about having her own business or doing something that mattered to her. One day she found herself walking past an old hotel that had been abandoned for years. The windows were broken, the paint was peeling, and the doors hung crooked. Everyone in town avoided the place, saying it was cursed or haunted or worthless. The idea that she could own it seemed crazy even to her, but she felt drawn to it. In a way she could not explain, she saved for months and finally managed to buy the hotel using all her savings. She knew people would laugh, and they did. When news spread, the townspeople shook their heads and whispered she had made a mistake. They said the building was useless and she was foolish for thinking she could fix it up and make it work, but she did not care. She felt a strange hope that this old hotel held something important. The first day she walked into the hotel, she felt a mix of fear and excitement. Dust covered every surface and cobwebs hung from the corners. The air smelled old and stale. She stepped carefully over broken tiles and furniture left behind. Some walls had holes, others were covered with graffiti. The place looked empty and sad, but she saw something else. She saw possibilities. She started cleaning a small corner of the lobby using old rags and brooms. She removed broken furniture and swept away layers of dust. Every day she worked until her hands hurt and her body ached. She did not sleep well, but she could not stop herself. The hotel seemed to be revealing its secrets slowly as she explored more. She noticed strange markings on walls and doors. Some were faint, and some looked like they had been drawn recently. She found rooms that were locked or boarded up, and nobody seemed to know what was inside. Old guest records and letters lay in drawers and cupboards, telling stories of people who had stayed there long ago. Some letters hinted at secrets, some told of happy moments, some spoke of fear. She began to feel like she was not just cleaning a building, but uncovering a history. At night, the hotel felt different. The empty halls echoed with strange sounds, footsteps or whispers. She was frightened at first, but curiosity kept her moving. She wondered what stories these walls held, what had happened here that made people leave and never return. She could feel a connection to the past, and it made her feel less alone. The townspeople continued to mock her. They passed by and shouted remarks about her wasting her life on a place that would never matter. She heard the laughter, but she did not turn back. She had learned to trust herself, even when no one else did. She worked quietly, cleaning, repairing, and exploring the hotel one corner at a time. One day while cleaning the storage room, she noticed a small piece of wood that looked out of place. It was under an old rug. She moved things around and discovered a hidden panel in the floor. It was covered with dust and almost invisible. She felt her heart race. She knew she had found something that no one else had seen in years. She opened the panel, and inside were old papers, maps, and documents tied together with string. Some were faded and some were written in a careful hand. She did not understand all of it, but she could see that it was important. Some papers mentioned business deals and secret accounts. Others seemed to be plans for something that never happened. She realized that the hotel had been more than just a place for people to stay. It had been part of something bigger. Excitement mixed with fear. She did not know what to do with the documents, but she felt that she had stumbled on something valuable, something that could change her life. She kept them safe and continued her work. She began to spend more time studying them, learning what she could from the faded words and strange symbols. She felt like she was slowly uncovering a puzzle left behind by people who had disappeared. The hotel changed her too. She became stronger and braver. She learned to face fear and work hard. She spent long hours alone, and it made her think deeply about her life and what she wanted. She remembered the laughter of the townspeople, and it no longer bothered her. She had a purpose, and it gave her hope. Every day she found something new, a drawer with old keys, a room with broken furniture that hinted at hidden spaces, a letter that told a story of someone important visiting the hotel. She felt like she was walking through history, and it made her feel alive. The building that had seemed empty and dead was full of stories waiting to be discovered. Even though the hotel was broken, the experience made her feel whole. She learned patience and determination and the value of believing in something even when no one else did. She knew that her journey with the hotel was only beginning and that there were more secrets waiting for her to find. She kept working, cleaning, repairing, and exploring. She started to make small changes, fixing broken windows, repairing doors, and clearing debris. She imagined the hotel alive again with people and laughter. She dreamed of a future where this abandoned place would mean something more than anyone could imagine. The townspeople still talked. They shook their heads and whispered, but she paid no attention. She had found something inside herself that no one could take away. She had a sense of purpose and a growing belief that the hotel was leading her to something she could not yet see. Every discovery encouraged her to keep going. She wrote notes about what she found and mapped the rooms and passages. She photographed markings and letters. She wanted to make sure she did not miss anything. She felt like a detective uncovering clues about a forgotten time. Even when she was tired and lonely, she returned to the hotel day after day. She knew that every corner held a story and that every story mattered. She began to feel connected to the people who had come before her and to the place itself. It was as if the hotel had been waiting for her to arrive, though. First part of her journey was about courage and hope. She had faced ridicule and fear and still kept going. She had found a hidden panel and discovered papers that hinted at secrets she did not yet understand. The hotel that everyone called worthless had begun to reveal its true importance to her. She did not know what the future held, but she felt ready to continue. She knew that more secrets were hidden in the floors, walls, and rooms. She felt that the hotel had chosen her to uncover them, and she was ready to follow where it led. She had taken the first steps, and her life was changing in ways she had never imagined. She woke up early that morning feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. The hotel awaited her with its quiet, empty halls. She grabbed her cleaning supplies and a flashlight and walked through the broken doors. She knew that yesterday she had uncovered something important, but she did not know the full story, and that thought made her eager to explore more. The lobby looked different in the morning light. Dust sparkled in the sunbeams coming through the broken windows. She began sweeping the floor and wiping down surfaces. She moved carefully, avoiding broken glass and fallen beams. Every corner of the building seemed to tell a story, and she felt like she was walking through a place frozen in time. She decided to explore the second floor. The stairs creaked under her weight, and the railings felt unstable. She held onto them tightly and moved slowly. The hallways were dark and narrow. The wallpaper was torn and faded, but she noticed something she had not seen before: small symbols drawn on the walls in pencil. Left behind long ago, she photographed them and made notes. In one room, she found a trunk covered in dust. She lifted the lid and found old photographs and letters tied together with string. The pictures were black and white, showing people in elegant clothes posing in the hotel long ago. The letters spoke of secret meetings and plans for events that never happened. She could not understand everything, but she felt that these documents were part of a bigger mystery. While examining a corner of the hallway, she heard a soft sound like someone walking. She froze and listened carefully. The hall was empty. She shook her head and continued walking, but the sound returned as a faint echo. She realized the hotel was full of hidden noises: the wind, the old building, and her footsteps all mixed together, making the place feel alive in a strange way. She moved to another locked room that had been boarded up. She found an old key in the lobby that looked like it might fit. She turned the key and slowly opened the door. Inside was dark and filled with dust. The floor was littered with broken furniture and papers. She stepped carefully and shined her flashlight across the room. There were old suitcases and boxes stacked against the walls. She opened them one by one, finding clothes, documents, and small objects that looked valuable. She realized the hotel had been left in a hurry, and many things had been hidden inside. She spent hours going through the room. She carefully organized the documents and kept them safe in a separate box. She read letters that spoke of business deals and hidden treasures. She found maps that marked secret passages and rooms she had not discovered yet. Every discovery made her heart beat faster. She felt she was getting closer to understanding the true purpose of the hotels. She worked. She began to notice patterns in the markings on the walls. Some symbols matched the maps. She traced them with her finger and realized they formed a path leading from one room to another. She decided to follow the path. She moved through the hotel. Carefully checking every corner and opening doors that had been locked or sealed, she found hidden compartments under the floor and behind walls. Each contained small treasures, like coins, old jewelry, and documents that explained more about the people who had stayed in the hotel and the things they had done. At one point, she found a diary. Hidden in a drawer, the pages were yellow and brittle, but she could read the words. She learned about a person who had run the hotel long ago, who had kept secrets and hidden valuables. Now the diary spoke of fear and hope and plans to protect what mattered. Most of the entries were about everyday life, but some hinted at something bigger, something hidden in the hotel that no one knew about. She felt a shiver run through her. She was following footsteps from the past and uncovering secrets that had been forgotten. The day passed quickly. She moved from room to room, taking notes and photographs. She cleaned and organized wherever she could. She felt tired but satisfied. She realized that each discovery brought her closer to something important. She felt a connection to the past and to the hotel itself. It was no longer just an abandoned building. It was a puzzle waiting for her to solve. At night, she stayed in a small corner of the lobby. The wind howled outside, and the broken windows rattled. She could hear strange creaks and whispers from the floors above. She was frightened at first, but then she reminded herself that she was not alone in her journey. She had the documents and clues. She had her determination, and she had the feeling that the hotel was guiding her. She fell asleep with a sense of purpose that she had never felt before. Next morning, she returned to the room with the hidden compartments. She carefully examined the maps and notes she had taken. She compared them with the markings on the walls. She realized that the hotel had been used to store valuable things secretly, and that the clues she found could lead her to even bigger discoveries. She felt both excitement and fear, but she knew she could not stop. Now she began exploring areas she had avoided before. She found a narrow stairway leading to the attic. The stairs were steep and unstable. She held the railing tightly and moved slowly. The attic was dark and dusty, but filled with objects covered in sheets and old trunks. She carefully lifted the covers and found valuable items that had been hidden for decades. She discovered old furniture, silverware, and boxes filled with coins and jewelry. The attic seemed to hold the final secrets of the hotel. She spent hours sorting through the items. She took notes about each discovery and photographed them carefully. She felt like a historian, uncovering a lost world. She imagined the people who had once stayed in the hotel and what their lives had been like. She began to understand that the hotel had been more than a building. It had been a place where people hid their hopes, fears, and treasures. She felt honored to be the one to uncover these stories. As days passed, she continued exploring every part of the hotel. The hallways, rooms, and secret passages all revealed new surprises. She found letters describing plans that were never carried out and contracts that spoke of hidden fortunes. She realized that the hotel had been a center of activity long ago, and that its abandonment had hidden all these secrets for decades. People in the town still mocked her. They passed by and whispered, but she ignored them. She knew they could not see what she was discovering. She focused on the work and on uncovering the truth. Each discovery motivated her to keep going. She learned to be patient and careful. She understood that the hotel was fragile and that rushing could damage the secrets it held. She began to document everything carefully. She made lists, photographs, and sketches. She traced the patterns of the markings on the walls and compared them with the maps and letters. She began to see connections and understand how the hidden compartments and rooms were linked. She felt like she was slowly unraveling a mystery that had been forgotten for generations. Some nights, she felt scared. She heard noises that she could not explain, and sometimes she felt like she was being watched. She reminded herself that the hotel had been empty for years, and that the noises were part of its character. She learned to move calmly and observe carefully. She discovered that fear could be transformed into focus and determination. One day she found a small key hidden in the attic. It fit a drawer in the event lobby where she found more documents and letters. She read about secret accounts and hidden valuables. She realized that the hotel had been carefully used to hide wealth, and that she had stumbled onto a story that no one had known for decades. She felt a thrill of discovery and a sense of responsibility. She continued her work for weeks, exploring every room, every hidden corner, and every passage she cleaned and organized wherever she could. She felt a growing connection to the hotel and to the people who had been there before her. The hotel that had once been empty and abandoned was now alive with stories and memories. She knew that her discoveries were only the beginning. She had uncovered maps, letters, photographs, and small treasures, but she felt there was more waiting to be found. She planned her next moves carefully and looked forward to each day with excitement and determination. Through all of this, she changed. 2. She became stronger and braver. She learned to trust herself and her instincts. She understood that the hotel had chosen her to uncover its secrets, and that she had a purpose bigger than anyone in the town could imagine. She felt proud and hopeful and ready for the next step in her journey. She woke up feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. She had explored most of the hotel and uncovered many secrets, but she felt that the most important discovery was still waiting for her. She grabbed her tools and documents and walked through the broken doors. The sunlight made the dust sparkle, and the building seemed alive with its hidden stories. She decided to focus on the room where she had found the hidden panel. Before, the floorboards were old and fragile. She carefully moved furniture and dusted off the area. She traced the markings and examined the maps she had found earlier. She realized that the documents pointed to something beneath the floor. She felt a thrill of anticipation and fear. She began lifting the floorboards slowly. She worked carefully so as not to damage anything. She found a small trapdoor hidden under the wood. It was locked with a rusted latch, but she managed to open it with a key she had found in the attic. Inside was a narrow staircase leading down into darkness. She shone her flashlight and descended slowly. The air was damp and smelled old and musty. The passage was narrow and winding. She could hear her own heartbeat echoing on the walls. She felt a mix of fear and excitement. She knew that whatever lay ahead could change her life. She moved carefully, taking note of the structure and looking for signs of hidden compartments. She found old crates and boxes stacked against the walls. They were covered in dust and cobwebs. She opened the crates one by one, finding coins, old jewelry, and documents tied with string. She realized that these items had been hidden for decades. She felt a growing sense of discovery and responsibility. She carefully took notes and photographs. She imagined the people who had hidden these things and what their lives had been like. She could feel a connection to the pastas. She moved further down the passage. She noticed a wall that looked different from the others. The bricks were newer, and some markings matched the symbols she had seen before. She tapped on the wall and felt a hollow space behind it. She carefully removed the bricks and discovered a small room filled with more treasures. There were boxes filled with gold coins, stacks of documents, and small chests with jewelry. She felt a thrill of excitement. She had found something that no one had seen in decades. She spent hours carefully examining the items. She read old letters that spoke of secret accounts and hidden fortunes. She traced the maps and matched them with the markings on the walls. She realized that the hotel had been used to hide wealth during a time of crisis. She felt amazed that such treasures had remained hidden all these years. She found more secret compartments in the walls and under the floors. Each contained valuables and documents. She realized that the hotel had been carefully designed to protect these treasures. She could not understand all of it, but she felt that she was uncovering a story of courage and planning. She felt proud that she had discovered what many others had missed. She spent nights in the hotel studying the documents and treasures. She felt a growing connection to the place and to the people who had once used it. She began to piece together the history and the reasons for hiding the fortune. She learned that the hotel had been a secret hub for people who wanted to protect their wealth during difficult times. She could not believe that she had stumbled onto such an important discovery. She also noticed that some documents hinted at locations outside the hotel. She realized that the fortune was part of a bigger network and that the hotel was only one part of the secret. She felt a thrill of possibility and began planning how she would continue the search. She knew that patience and careful observation were key. She felt confident that she could uncover more hidden treasures. She worked methodically, going through each floor and every room. She found letters describing the efforts to protect the treasures and the people who had risked everything to hide them. She read about challenges they faced and how they had ensured that the hotel would remain secret. She felt a deep respect for their courage and ingenuity. Began mapping the hidden compartments she made, detailed notes about the location of crates, boxes, and trapdoors. She photographed each item and wrote descriptions of what she found. She wanted to make sure that nothing was overlooked. She realized that her careful work could preserve the history and value of the hotel for future generations. She discovered that the treasures were not just valuable in money, but in history. She found documents that told stories of business deals, friendships, and secret plans. She realized that the hotel had been a place of hope and protection for people in difficult times. She felt inspired by their foresight and planning as she worked. She also repaired the passageways and floors. She made them safe so she could move easily. She cleaned the area and organized the treasures. She felt satisfaction in making the hidden rooms accessible. She imagined that someday others could learn from her discoveries and understand the importance of preserving history. The days passed quickly. She spent long hours exploring, documenting, and organizing. She felt a growing sense of purpose and confidence. She realized that the hotel had chosen her to uncover these secrets and that her determination had brought her this far. She felt proud of herself for continuing despite fear and exhaustion. Sure. Discovered a set of documents that seemed to explain the purpose of the hotel more clearly. They described the hidden treasures and the reasons for concealing them. She realized that the building had been part of a secret network to protect valuables from people who could misuse them. She felt amazed that she had been allowed to uncover such a story. She also found letters that were personal. They spoke of hope, fear, and courage. They revealed the human side of the story and made her feel connected to the people who had lived and worked in the hotel. She felt that uncovering their story was as important as finding the treasures themselves. She began creating a system to keep track of everything. She labeled boxes and files. She organized the treasures and documents according to their type and significance. She felt a growing sense of control and order in the midst of the chaos she had found. She realized that careful work was essential to preserving the history. She also found old tools and equipment that had been used to hide the treasures. She examined them and tried to understand how they worked. She realized that the people who had designed the hotel had been very clever. They had anticipated every problem and had created secret compartments and passages that would remain hidden for decades. She spent weeks continuing her work. She explored every corner of the hidden passageways and floors. She discovered more treasures and documents. She read letters and notes that described the history and purpose of the hidden items. She felt a growing sense of accomplishment and excitement. She realized that her journey was far from over. She felt that the hotel had become a part of her life. She spent days and nights in its corridors exploring and uncovering its secrets. She learned patience, determination, and the value of careful observation. She realized that the building was more than bricks and wood. It was a living story waiting for someone to uncover it. She knew that the discoveries she had made so far were only the beginning. She had uncovered hidden treasures and documents, but she felt there was more waiting for her. She planned her next steps carefully and continued exploring with focus and determination. She felt confident that she could reveal the full story and the complete fortune hidden beneath the floors of the hotel. She felt proud of herself for not giving up despite the mockery and fear. She realized that courage and patience had allowed her to uncover what others had missed. She felt connected to the past and hopeful for the future. She knew that the hotel had chosen her to uncover its secrets, and she was ready to continue the journey. Word spread slowly. At first, people started noticing changes in the hotel. The broken windows had been repaired, dust was gone from the floors, and signs of life appeared. Where before there was only ruin, they saw her moving around with boxes and documents and whispered among themselves. Some still mocked her, but curiosity began to replace laughter. She continued her work meticulously. Each day, she explored rooms and passages she had not yet opened. She documented every item, photographed every mark, and kept the treasures safe. She felt the hotel revealing more of its secrets, as if it trusted her completely. She discovered boxes filled with old coins, gold jewelry, and documents that explained the history and purpose of the building. News reached the town that someone had found important documents and treasures in the abandoned hotel. Reporters began visiting and asking questions. People who had once laughed at her started to pay attention. They came cautiously, trying to see if the stories were true. Some even offered help, but she declined. She wanted to be sure that the history of the hotel and the treasures were preserved carefully and with respect. Experts in history and architecture were brought to examine the building. They verified her discoveries and began helping her understand the documents and artifacts. She realized that the hotel had been part of a much larger network that had hidden wealth and important records. During times of crisis, she felt a mix of pride and amazement that she had uncovered something so significant. The townspeople, who once mocked her, now looked at her with astonishment. They saw that the hotel was not just an abandoned building, but a place of historical importance. She continued to work quietly, while others watched in awe. She did not seek recognition, but she could not ignore the changes in how people treated her. She opened more hidden rooms and compartments, spoke of courage and careful planning. She discovered items that had been hidden to protect them from harm and realized the importance of each object. She organized the treasures and documents methodically, ensuring that nothing was lost or damaged. Every day brought new discoveries. Some boxes contained coins and jewelry. Others held documents that told stories of families, businesses, and secret plans. She read the documents carefully, trying to understand the intentions of the people who had hidden them. She felt a connection to them and a responsibility to preserve their story. As the hotel gained attention, people began visiting the building to witness the discoveries. Some came with skepticism, but most left with respect. She guided visitors, carefully showing them the history and treasures she had uncovered. She explained the importance of preserving the past and the work required to uncover it. She continued restoring parts of the hotel. She repaired broken doors, windows, and floors. She cleaned and organized rooms so that they were safe and accessible. She wanted to honor the history while making the building a place that people could learn from. She felt satisfaction in turning the abandoned hotel into a symbol of discovery. In hope, the experts helped her catalog the items and documents. They verified the historical importance and assisted in creating records that would ensure the hotel was recognized for its value. She felt grateful for their help, but also proud of the work she had done alone. The journey had taught her patience, perseverance, and the importance of careful observation. Also discovered that some of the treasures were part of old businesses and networks that had been carefully hidden. She realized that her findings could help historians understand an important part of history. She felt a sense of purpose, knowing that her work had significance beyond herself and the town. The attention brought challenges. Some people tried to claim credit or influence the discoveries. She remained calm and focused. She knew that her dedication and careful work had earned the trust of the hotel and the historical experts. She refused to let anyone diminish the importance of her discoveries. She felt strong in her conviction and determination. She spent long hours documenting every item. She photographed coins, jewelry, and documents. She wrote notes about each discovery. She wanted to ensure that nothing was overlooked. She felt that preserving the story was as important as finding the treasures themselves. She wanted future generations to understand the courage and planning of the people who had hidden the items. The hotel began to feel alive again. Visitors walked through the halls and learned about the history. She guided them patiently, explaining the hidden passages and secret rooms. She described the stories she had uncovered and the treasures she had found. She felt proud to show how determination and careful work could turn an abandoned building into a place of learning and inspiration. She also worked on making the building safe. She repaired unstable floors, reinforced walls, and cleared debris. She wanted everyone who visited to feel secure. She imagined the hotel as a place where history and discovery could be experienced by all. She felt joy in seeing the hotel regain purpose and life. The town slowly changed its perception. She had faced ridicule and isolation, but now she was respected and admired. She had turned skepticism into admiration and loneliness into recognition. She felt grateful for the journey that had brought her here and for the lessons she had learned about courage, patience, and belief in oneself. She discovered more documents that revealed plans for future protection of the treasures and items. She realized that the hotel had been carefully managed to ensure that its secrets would survive. She felt connected to the people who had created these safeguards and honored their foresight by continuing their work with care and attention. The treasures and documents were organized in a way that made sense. She labeled boxes, filed documents, and cataloged items. Carefully, she created maps of the hidden compartments and passages she wanted to ensure that nothing was lost, and that the history of the hotel would be preserved accurately. She felt a deep sense of accomplishment in her careful and thoughtful work. Her work continued for months. She explored, documented, and organized. She repaired and cleaned. She guided visitors and collaborated with experts. She felt a growing sense of purpose and pride. She knew that her efforts had transformed the hotel from an abandoned building into a place of discovery and learning. She reflected on the journey she had faced, ridicule and fear. She had worked alone and with patience. She had uncovered treasures and stories that had been hidden for decades. She realized that the hotel had given her a gift. Beyond wealth, it had given her confidence, respect, and a sense of connection to the past and future. She felt a deep gratitude for the journey and for the discoveries she had made. Every day she returned to the hotel with determination. She explored rooms she had not yet opened. She documented new findings. She organized and preserved the treasures. She guided visitors and worked with experts. She felt a growing sense of purpose. Knowing that her work was preserving history and giving the hotel a new life, she realized that her journey had transformed her. She was stronger, braver, and more confident. She had learned to trust herself and her instincts. She had faced fear, isolation, and ridicule, and emerged with discoveries that would benefit many. She felt proud of her courage and perseverance, and of the work she had done to honor the history of the hotel. She continued restoring the building. She repaired broken doors and windows, cleaned floors, and organized rooms. She created spaces that were safe and accessible. She felt satisfaction in seeing the hotel regain its former dignity. She imagined it as a place where people could learn, explore, and be inspired by the stories she had uncovered. The hotel became a symbol of discovery, courage, and perseverance. Visitors came to learn about the hidden treasures and the stories of the people who had once lived and worked there. She guided them carefully, sharing her discoveries and the history of the building. She felt proud to have turned ridicule into recognition and loneliness into respect. She understood that her work had significance beyond herself. She had uncovered treasures, documents, and stories that would educate and inspire future generations. She felt connected to the past and hopeful for the future. She knew that her journey was far from over and that more discoveries might still be waiting. She was ready to continue her work with determination and care. She walked through the hotel feeling proud and accomplished. The rooms were clean, the treasures were organized, and the history had been preserved carefully. She had uncovered secrets that had been hidden for decades and shared them with experts and visitors alike. She felt a deep satisfaction knowing that her work had transformed the building and preserved its story. She realized that the greatest treasure was not just the coins, jewelry, or documents, but the respect and recognition she had earned. She had faced ridicule, isolation, and doubt, and still continued her work. Her perseverance had paid off, and she felt proud of herself for trusting her instincts and believing in the hotel when no one else did. The hotel became a place of learning and discovery. Visitors came from other towns and cities to see the hidden treasures and learn about the history. She guided them patiently, explaining the significance of the rooms, documents, and items. She felt joy in seeing others inspired by her discoveries. She knew that the building that had once been abandoned now had a purpose and meaning beyond wealth. She continued restoring the hotel. She repaired broken floors, doors, and windows. She cleaned and organized rooms and ensured that the hidden passages and compartments were accessible. She felt a connection to the past and honored the people who had hidden the treasures. She wanted the hotel to be a place where history could be experienced and preserved. She also used some of the treasures to support herself. She did not care about wealth alone, but the coins and jewelry provided stability and freedom. She was able to continue her work without worrying about financial problems. She felt grateful that the discoveries had given her both security and purpose. Documents she preserved revealed stories of courage, planning, and hope. She shared them with historians and experts who verified their importance. The letters and maps told stories of people who had faced challenges and ensured the safety of valuables and information. She felt a connection to these people and honored their foresight. By carefully maintaining their legacy, she spent her days organizing tours, guiding visitors, and cataloging items. She explained the significance of the hotel and the treasures she wanted people to understand the value of preserving history. She felt a sense of responsibility and joy in sharing her discoveries with others. The town that once mocked her now respected her. She had turned ridicule into admiration and loneliness into recognition. She felt a sense of fulfillment, knowing that her dedication had changed perceptions and inspired people. She realized that courage, patience, and belief in oneself could overcome doubt and fear. She also focused on educating younger generations about the importance of history and preservation. She invited students to visit the hotel and learn about the hidden treasures and the stories behind them. She felt proud to provide a space for learning and inspiration. She knew that the hotel had become a symbol of discovery and perseverance. She discovered more hidden items and documents over time. She continued to explore rooms, passages, and compartments. She carefully documented and preserved each discovery. She felt excitement and purpose in uncovering new parts of the hotel and understanding their history. She knew that the journey was ongoing and that each day could bring new revelation. She began writing a record of her work, detailing the discoveries, organization, and preservation. She wanted to ensure that future generations could understand the process and the significance of the treasures. She felt that documenting the journey was as important as the discoveries themselves, and worked carefully to preserve every detail. Hotel became a center for research and learning. Experts and historians visited to study the items. She collaborated with them, providing information and guidance. She felt proud to contribute to knowledge and preservation. She knew that the building that had once been abandoned now had lasting importance and influence. She also created spaces within the hotel for reflection and study. Visitors could sit and observe the treasures and documents. She wanted them to understand the stories and histories behind each item. She felt that the hotel was now a place where people could connect to the past and feel inspired to preserve it. Though treasures and documents continued to reveal new insights, she found letters that described everyday life decisions and plans for protecting valuables. She realized that these items were part of a larger story about courage, planning, and hope. She felt honored to uncover these stories and preserve them for the world to see. She felt proud of her growth and transformation. She had faced fear, doubt, and mockery, and emerged with discoveries that had historical and personal significance. She learned patience, perseverance, and the value of trusting oneself. She realized that her journey had changed her as much as it had changed the hotel. She continued exploring and documenting the hidden passages. Floors and rooms revealed more items and stories. She photographed and cataloged each discovery. She guided visitors and shared her knowledge. She felt fulfillment in knowing that the hotel was now a place of learning, inspiration, and preservation. She also connected with people who had a passion for history and preservation. They collaborated to ensure that the treasures and documents were maintained and studied properly. She felt grateful for their support and expertise. She knew that the hotel would continue to be valued and preserved for generations. The hotel became a landmark in the town. Visitors came to see the restored building and learn about the hidden treasures. She guided them patiently, explaining the significance of each item and story. She felt joy in witnessing the transformation. From abandonment to recognition, she knew that her work had brought life and meaning back to the building. She reflected on her journey. She had started with fear and ridicule and ended with discovery and respect. She had uncovered treasures and stories hidden for decades. She had preserved history and inspired others. She realized that the greatest reward was the fulfillment, purpose, and connection she had gained through her work. She continued her work daily, exploring, documenting, and restoring. She guided visitors and collaborated with experts. She felt a deep connection to the hotel and the people who had once lived and worked there. She understood that her perseverance and belief had turned an abandoned building into a symbol of hope, discovery, and learning. She felt gratitude for the journey and the lessons she had learned. Courage, patience, and belief in oneself had guided her. She had uncovered a fortune not only in wealth, but in knowledge, respect, and personal growth. She knew that the hotel would continue to inspire and teach, and that her work had created a lasting legacy. Every day she returned to the hotel with purpose and joy. She explored new areas, documented discoveries, and shared the history. She guided visitors and educated younger generations. She felt fulfillment, knowing that the building that had once been abandoned now stood as a testament to determination, courage, and the power of discovery. Shah woke up early feeling the excitement of another day in the hotel. The building that had once been abandoned now felt alive with stories and discoveries. She walked through the halls, looking at the rooms and hidden compartments she had explored before. She felt a connection to every corner of the hotel, as if the building itself remembered her efforts. She began her day by reviewing the documents and treasures she had organized. She carefully checked the boxes and notes, making sure everything was in order. She had discovered so much in the past weeks and months that it was easy to forget a detail. She wanted to ensure that nothing was overlooked and that the story of the hotel remained complete. She decided to explore an area she had not focused on before. The basement had always seemed dark and unstable, but she felt ready. She grabbed a flashlight and descended the narrow stairs. She carefully stepped over broken tiles and debris. She could hear her own heartbeat echoing in the empty space below. She felt a mix of fear and excitement. The basement was filled with old crates and boxes. Some had been opened before and others remained sealed. She examined each one carefully. She found coins, jewelry, old papers, and small artifacts. She read letters that spoke of daily life long ago and plans for preserving valuables. She felt amazed that such history had survived underground for decades. While exploring, she noticed a faint outline of a door on one wall that had been covered by debris and overlooked before she brushed away the dust and debris, revealing a hidden latch. She opened it slowly and found a narrow tunnel that seemed to continue further. She shone her flashlight inside and saw that it was lined with wooden panels. She realized that the hotel still had secrets to reveal. She entered the tunnel carefully. Feeling the walls for stability, she moved slowly to avoid making noise. The tunnel was narrow and slightly damp. She noticed markings on the walls similar to those she had seen in other parts of the hotel. They seemed to form a path leading to something important. She followed the markings step by step. After walking for some time, she found another hidden room. The floor was dusty and the air smelled old. She opened crates and boxes, finding more coins, jewelry, and documents. She realized that this room had been untouched for decades. The items were carefully stored and seemed to have been forgotten by time. She felt excitement at being the first to see them in so long. She examined the documents and letters. She read about people who had hidden the items and the reasons for doing so. Some wrote about fear of losing their wealth during difficult times. Others wrote about protecting valuables for future generations. She felt connected to these people and inspired by their foresight and planning. She continued documenting everything she photographed. Coins and jewelry. She made notes about letters and artifacts. She mapped the room and the hidden tunnel. She wanted to ensure that nothing was lost and that every detail was preserved for the future. She felt responsibility and purpose in her careful work. After finishing the basement, she returned to the main floors. She wanted to review her notes and see if the new discoveries fit with what she had already uncovered. She spread out maps and documents, comparing markings and locations. She realized that the hotel had been designed with many layers of hidden compartments and secret rooms. She marveled at the intelligence and planning of those who had built it. She also reflected on her own journey. She had started with fear and ridicule and now stood with recognition and purpose. She had uncovered treasures, documents, and stories that had been hidden for decades. She had preserved history and transformed the abandoned hotel into a place of learning and inspiration. She felt proud of her courage and perseverance. She decided to restore another wing of the hotel. She repaired broken floors and walls. She cleaned rooms and organized items. She created spaces for visitors to learn and explore. She felt joy in seeing the hotel regain life and meaning. She imagined people walking through the halls and discovering history just as she had. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She continued finding hidden compartments in attics and underfloors. She discovered more coins, jewelry, and documents. She read letters that told stories of hope, fear, and careful planning. She realized that every item had meaning and purpose. She treated each discovery with respect and care. She wanted to honor the people who had hidden These treasures so long ago, she also guided visitors through the hotel. She explained the history and significance of the rooms and items. She wanted people to understand the importance of preserving the past. She felt satisfaction in seeing others. Inspired by her work, she knew that the hotel had become more than a building. It was a place of learning and connection. She collaborated with experts to verify and preserve items. They helped her understand documents and treasures. She felt grateful for their guidance, but also proud that her dedication had uncovered so much. She realized that teamwork could enhance her discoveries and help preserve the history accurately. She spent long hours cataloging items. She photographed and labeled everything. She created maps of secret compartments and tunnels. She wanted future generations to understand the history and discoveries. She felt a growing sense of accomplishment knowing that her careful work would preserve the hotel forever. She reflected. On the journey, she had faced fear, isolation, and ridicule. She had trusted herself and believed in the hotel when no one else did. She had uncovered hidden treasures and stories. She had transformed an abandoned building into a symbol of discovery and learning. She felt gratitude for the journey and the lessons she had learned. The hotel had changed her too. She had grown stronger and braver. She had learned patience, careful observation, and determination. She had discovered the importance of preserving history and respecting the past. She felt proud of her growth and the impact of her work on others. She continued exploring every corner of the hotel. She found hidden rooms, secret compartments, and items that had been untouched for decades. She carefully documented each discovery. She guided visitors and shared the history. She felt joy in knowing that the hotel was now a place of learning and inspiration. She also used some of the treasures to support herself. She did not care about wealth alone, but the coins and jewelry provided stability and freedom. She was able to continue her work without worrying about financial problems. She felt grateful that the discoveries had given her both security and purpose. She organized workshops and educational tours. She taught visitors about history, preservation, and the hidden treasures. She wanted everyone to understand the importance of caring for the past. She felt proud to inspire others and create a legacy that would continue beyond her own time. The hotel became a landmark and a symbol of perseverance. She had turned ridicule into recognition and loneliness into respect. She had preserved hidden treasures and stories. She had inspired and educated others. She realized that her journey had changed not only the hotel but also herself. She reflected on the lessons learned. Courage, patience, and belief in oneself had guided her. She had faced fear and doubt and emerged with discoveries of great historical and personal significance. She felt fulfillment in knowing that the abandoned hotel now stood as a place of learning, inspiration, and respect. She continued her daily work in the hotel, exploring, documenting, restoring, and guiding. She felt purpose and joy in every task. She knew that the building had more secrets to reveal, and she was ready to uncover them. She felt confident that her dedication and careful work would continue to preserve the history and treasures for God. Generations. Every day, she walked through the halls with purpose. She checked the hidden compartments and rooms. She documented new discoveries. She guided visitors and collaborated with experts. She felt fulfillment knowing that the hotel had transformed from an abandoned ruin into a place of inspiration, discovery, and lasting legacy.